Hello and aloha to everyone on the planet, to all the Baha'is, to all who strive to understand the unity of mankind is of paramount importance towards the general happiness of people of all the planets. So last night I talked about unity, a spiritual unity. I'm going to make to be a custom now, because tonight I'm going to be talking about the lack of unity. What is the cause? What are the reasons that we're not united and we don't understand it? I've categorized it to be about 9 reasons. If we look, as we spoke through this program and through this series, the trend of the evolution and understanding and the progress of humanity is always, it starts from tangible, that is material, and it goes on towards social understanding and finally spiritual understanding. Today, by the advent of the Baha'i faith, indirectly, people have grasped certain measures of unity, such as economic unity. Today, everyone knows there is a global economy that is affecting everyone everywhere. And to a certain extent, because the issues related to mankind are all related, really, they're all one. The economy of mankind is directly associated with the social issues and social values. Therefore, as a result of this understanding economy in a global way, a lot of movement have taken place toward the social unity. Today we can see how many countries they're trying to get together to create one country, and continents such as Europe is merging towards the oneness. I hope one day to see the same thing in other areas, and it will come. And there are, traces of the spiritual unity as well. Philanthropists such as Bill Gates, or Bono, the singer, or George Clooney and Brad Pitt and some other Hollywood's artists, and many others. I've just mentioned a couple of people that I know. But they do strive to help people of other places. Not necessarily just white people or European or American, but a lot of them, they try to help people in Africa. So I would say number one, to understand a unity and why is it not there, is the lack of understanding of the spiritual unity and the pleasure that comes with it. When we're talking about the spiritual unity, all of a sudden people, they say that, oh, you're talking about, again, giving what we have to others and this and that and that and that. I tell them it's not so much about giving to others. That is actually giving to yourself. This selfishness that people have, if they really understand what self is, then we see that by giving to others, we're actually becoming selfish too, because we're exchanging. This time we're giving the material and the money or comfort or medicine or whatever in a physical way. Immediately we're feeling great, we're feeling nice, we're feeling good, we become a spiritual. This satisfaction that we take out of this is definitely, we have understood then there's exchange. To give the material, to receive a spiritual. If you want to be really selfish and you understand what self is your economy, your social values, but as well your spiritual values. For the spiritual values, there's only one way that you could be selfish, is by giving to others and making them happy. Then that happiness immediately, in a osmosis way, it comes back to you and satisfy you. So you could say one of the reasons is that people do not understand the pleasure of giving, the pleasure of being united spiritually with others. Feeling the other people on the other side of the world are like your brothers and sisters. It is a big family. If you understand this and strive towards it more, which has to come by the practicing it. It's like everything else. If you start to practice it, then you like it. Because the habit kicks in, and the mechanism of habit makes you to do it more. This is how philanthropists and other people get involved in these things, because they find there's a pleasure in this. Pleasure unknown to those who don't do it. Number two, I think this materialistic progress in the form of information age and media, beginning with Hollywood, then televisions, and then internet, and this mobile phone, and radio and whatnot, has made people not directly associating with each other, because these things, these media systems supposedly, you're all by yourself. Between you and people there is always a media. You're not directly in contact with people. And too much of information does not create wisdom and understanding at all. A man with billions of choice in buying a car, he ends up buying always the wrong car. There's just too many. We are bombarded with this medias, with these gadgets around us. And because of that, we have somehow have been secluded. I just always say to myself, if all of these things are cut off in a house, in these streets that we live, probably if people, when they come back from work at 5 and 6 o'clock, they would come right out, start to talk to each other and see each other more, and that they become friends more with each other. And as a result, this exchange of this spiritual exchange that takes place, because it's not for money and it's not for even social values, it's purely to know each other, and this trend of friendship, it ends up to create more unity and therefore more happiness. And this makes us to get rid of this laziness that we have, complacencies, I think number three is that fear some of us has that our individual characters might get lost in the groups. Many people, they feel that, hey, I'm a part of these guys anywhere. When I'm becoming like everybody else, then me as a personality, as a character is gone. It might be so to a certain extent for certain people, but fortunately, Shoghi Effendi tells us that this unity has to take place in the mechanism of unity in diversity. As Baha'ullah explains, all the cells of the body, while they are united, they all are individuals. Every one of them have a membrane around it. Every one of them have their own nucleus, their own mitochondria. They're alive as an individual unit, but at the same time, they're all united. In this way, not only the individual character is not lost, but is enhanced. Number four, I would say, there's national organizations in the world, which comprises mostly of the governments and some other ones that are at the national level. And this nationalistic views that are still out there, not so much in the West, but there in the East, has prevented a lot of people to come together. Again, the same sense of loss and fear is there, that if many countries, let's say the Arab countries, after all want to become one country and they become one unit like Europe's, they all feel that in this relation they are going to lose their individual power over others. And even so, there might be some losses, but there's more gains in this unity than this the loss, so-called. So nationalism, which was something at the time of Shobi Effendi, very big and loud feelings and emotions, national views, they're gone. They're much better nowadays. Betrayal is still out there, and this is the problem, because they cannot come together as it is. They've been formed in certain areas, and they feel that if they come together, they have to trim their borders, their shapes, their ways sometimes, and they're not willing to do that. Europeans understood that it was a lot of national pride in their money and their currency, but by giving it up and turning in euro, they are doing better now. Because lack of center was made Europe to suffer a long time, as opposed to the United States, where there was a huge federalism. Europeans were suffering, and they understood this. The unity, there's a little bit to give, but once you do, you create. Of course, if a tree is grown on its own in some area, it will have bloomed really wide and open, but it's short. It tends to be short and not a very big, huge trunk. But if the trees, they were got together in this natural competition that they have, they tend to grow bigger and taller and stronger. So in the jungle, the trees are more protected than actually they are on their own in one area. So the national organization, which mostly means the governments, is part of the problem of the humanity. That the national pieces, they do not want together, and at the top always in this type of governments, which I call them really, they're like most of them in the earth right now, they're like gangsters. They're bond, they're not government. They do not think of their own people individually and what's good for them. That's the problem. Another cause of the lack of unity is that the religions in the world and their followers, they are insisting in this old system of the religion they have had at the time of Romans, at the time of Arabs, and even before that, Hindus, Jews, Christians, Buddhists, and others. There's old ways that was legitimate at one point of time. They're not wanting to let it go.